have just a few brief announcements, then we'll begin the program. First, on food, breakfast is already here. Coffee will be available during the morning. Lunch will be served in this room at 12:45. There will be a short break, and then the program will continue at 1:15 p.m. Restrooms. Men's and women's restrooms are right outside the back of this room. Men's to your far left, women's more towards the right. Third, if anyone should need to take a phone call, we ask that you please step outside of the room for your conversation. And if anyone needs an extended call, there's a conference room nearby, 29 North B, set aside for that purpose. Finally, if you notice anything wrong during the day, water's run out, any problem with the facilities, please alert Rosalie Wells, Kevin Appleby, or Mario Russell so they can contact the right person from Fried Frank staff to handle it. On a personal note, I want to mention that my former colleague, Karen Grisey, who welcomed you here for many years, has retired from the firm. She can't be here in person today, but sends her greetings and hopes to see as many of you as possible tonight at the gala. With that, I'll turn the program back over to Mario Russell, the Center's Executive Director, for his remarks and to introduce the first speaker. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex. So, good morning. We're starting early today, and that's a good sign. So good morning, friends and colleagues. Let me just start also by reiterating Alex's welcome to you all to the 2025 CMS Symposium, and offering my thanks first to Fried Frank for your hospitality, your generosity, your support, and your long-standing partnership with CMS. And thanks to all of you again for being here today, in person and virtually. Thanks to the many gifted and often heroic speakers and experts who are joining us today. And thank you especially to the CMS team, Kevin Appleby and Rosalie Wells in particular, for their organizing and coordinating this day. We have a great program and day ahead of you lined up, so do take a look at the agenda. I'm going to move this here. On November 5, 2025, Diana Patricia Santillana, a 38-year-old Colombian asylum applicant and daycare preschool teacher in Chicago at the Sunray Spanish Immersion Daycare, was dragged out of her car at school at 7 a.m., slammed face first into the building's outer glass doors, and then shoved against and into a dark gray sedan by two ICE agents, one with a mask covering his face. And despite screaming, "I have papers," she was taken to a detention center in Clay County, Indiana, about 4 hours away, leaving behind her two teenage children. And in response to the public outcry, this was the cold judgment of the DHS Assistant Secretary. Quote, "Work authorization does not confer any type of legal status to be in the United States. The illegal aliens' papers were approved by the Biden administration, which exploited this loophole to help facilitate the invasion of our country. The administration will continue to fight for the arrest, detention, and removal of aliens who have no right to be in this country." End quote. So take note. These are talking points of rhetoric and propaganda that perpetuate falsehoods about people as three things: illegal, criminal, and I would say fundamentally unhuman. A false flag made to serve the war on immigrants worldwide and the occupation of American cities by ICE and the National Guard. And indeed, on that point, New York City is particularly anxious today. So it's for this very reason that we're here today, to look at the facts, not the untruths, to double down on our effort to envision just and humane policies that are inspired by and in service of humanity, not by rage and resentment. I am encouraged, as I think many of you here are too, by Pope Leo, who reminds us that migrants are an embodiment and an example of hope particularly because of their resilience, faith, and courage in the face of adversity. Making special spiritual and material contributions to their communities, which I think was the unwritten genius of the American experiment, which we know can and must continue in the years to come. The 20th century philosopher and political theorist Hannah Arendt, and by the way, New Yorker magazine writer and Riverside resident, thought a lot about political freedom and about totalitarianism. And she famously wrote what she called about the banality of evil as she observed the trial of Eichmann in Jerusalem. Evil, born of perception and bias that enters the psyche and spreads like an infection. When a society allows itself to be seduced by and lost in propaganda and falsehood, she said, it forfeits its thought and its autonomy. It surrenders to the evil. And the antidote, how do we inoculate ourselves against this, is through praxis, action, which is founded at first on two important elements, thought and speech. And so to that point, and looking up to shore the defenses in New York, for instance, on Friday, CMS, with the endorsement of the city's Office of Immigrant Affairs, released a report that describes the innumerable ways in which a city of 8.1 million thrives under the awesome and regenerative power of its immigrant population, which numbers at 38.2%. 1 in 3 New Yorkers is foreign-born. And at the same time, CMS, in partnership with the Hope Border Institute, is beginning a nationwide initiative to provide organizing, communication, and research support to the missions, service providers, parishes, dioceses, and Catholic leaders throughout the United States who want to act and respond now. And we will do this in coordination with our national partner friends, Clinic, Catholic Charities USA, and the U.S. Conference of Bishops, who, just a few days ago, as you know, released a strong statement and video in solidarity with and support of and in opposition to enforcement, profiling, targeting, and, quote, the mass deportation of people. I recall reading once about an emergency room doctor who had written a lot about her work, a veteran, and noted how young new doctors would sometimes run around the emergency room in response to a new case, wanting to act and do, often getting the intervention wrong. And so she found herself saying to them at some point, don't just do something, stand there, think, plan, and then act. So today, I would say, is a coming together for us to do that, to think and speak and create a foundation for action.